Stop multitasking. It doesn't work. It destroys your focus. Why are monks so calm and productive? They know the secret: single tasking. In this video, I reveal how to ditch distractions, enter deep work, and achieve more by doing less. Learn the practical discipline that can change your grades, your job, and your peace of mind. You think multitasking makes you productive? That's the biggest lie the modern world tells you. It's a myth sold to us to justify the constant chaos, the endless notifications, and the feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed. The reality is that multitasking doesn't make you a superhero of efficiency. It just guarantees you'll do 3 things poorly instead of 1 thing brilliantly. It's the fast track to mediocrity. Every time you switch from your report to an email, then to a text message, and back to the report, you're not actually doing them all at once. You're just rapidly and inefficiently starting and stopping each one. This constant gear shifting burns an incredible amount of mental energy, what neuroscientists call cognitive fuel. It's why you feel so utterly exhausted at the end of a busy day, even if you can't point to a single significant thing you accomplished. The truth is that busyness was just friction. Multitasking is the enemy of excellence. It increases anxiety, spikes your cortisol levels, and degrades the quality of your work, your thinking, and even your relationships. You end up with a half-finished project, a poorly written email, and a conversation where you weren't truly present. In this practical, organic chapter lesson, simple enough for a high school student to apply tonight, yet profound enough for a CEO to restructure their entire workday around it, I, the monk with tattoos, am going to share the ancient yet revolutionary practice of single tasking. This isn't about finding more time in your day. It's about reclaiming the quality of the time you already have. It's a return to a more natural, human way of operating, a way that aligns with how our brains are actually designed to function. We're going to dismantle the myth of multitasking piece by piece and replace it with a framework for profound focus and inner calm. This is the discipline that has allowed monastics for centuries to study complex texts, master intricate arts, and cultivate deep states of peace, all while living in a world that has always been full of its own distractions. The principles are timeless, and they are more necessary now than ever before. Forget the productivity hacks that just add more to your plate. We're going to learn how to find power in doing less, but doing it better than ever before. Let's start by demolishing the juggling myth, because that's really what we believe we're doing when we multitask. We see ourselves as master jugglers, effortlessly keeping multiple balls in the air. But let's be honest about the cost. Imagine I hand you 3 balls. Your goal is to juggle them perfectly. If you're a professional, maybe you can, but for most of us, the attempt looks clumsy. One ball is too high, another is dropped, the third is barely kept in play. Your attention is fractured, your form is terrible, and the entire act is stressful. You aren't giving any single ball the attention it needs to follow a clean, perfect arc. This is a perfect analogy for what your brain experiences during multitasking. Each ball is a task: writing an essay, listening to a podcast, and replying to a group chat. Every time you switch your attention from one to another, your brain pays a tax. This is the cognitive switching cost. It's the few seconds, or even minutes, of mental recalibration your brain requires to disengage from one task and fully engage with the next. It has to pull up the relevant information, remember where you left off, and ignore the residue of the previous task. This isn't a seamless transition. It's a clunky, energy-draining reboot happening over and over again. Now, imagine doing this 100 times a day. You're not juggling, you're just dropping things in slow motion. The honest cost is a massive depletion of your mental energy, a significant increase in errors, and a final product that lacks depth and quality. You feel busy because your brain is constantly scrambling, but you're not actually making meaningful progress. You're just paying the switching tax again and again until your mental bank account is empty. This is where the wisdom of the monastery offers a profound alternative: monastic focus. The fundamental principle is breathtakingly simple: do one thing, and only one thing, with your full and complete attention. This is the essence of deep work. It's the difference between doing one thing well versus 3 things poorly. A monk who is transcribing a manuscript is not also planning his afternoon meditation or thinking about the monastery's finances. He's simply transcribing. His world narrows to the feel of the pen, the texture of the paper, the shape of each letter. In this state of total immersion, something magical happens. The mental chatter fades away. The background noise of anxiety and obligation dissolves. This is not just about productivity. It is a pathway to genuine peace. When your mind is fully absorbed in a single task, there is no room for worry about the past or anxiety about the future. There is only the present moment and the task at hand. Compare this to the modern experience of trying to study for an important exam. The textbook is open, but so are 10 browser tabs. Your phone buzzes with notifications. A TV show is on in the background. Your mind is a battlefield of competing stimuli. You read a paragraph, but none of it sticks, because only a fraction of your cognitive resources were actually dedicated to the act of reading. Monastic Focus teaches us that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. By intentionally choosing to do one thing at a time, we not only produce our best work, but we also give our minds a sanctuary from the relentless storm of modern distraction. It is in this quiet space of single-pointed concentration that we find clarity, creativity, and a deep sense of calm. So, how do we bring this monastic wisdom into our chaotic, notification-filled lives? It starts with a practical tool, a rule you can apply immediately. This is my favorite rule for starting any task, whether it's a massive project or a 5-minute chore. And it's designed to help you instantly enter a state of flow and concentration. I call it the single tasking rule, and it has 3 simple parts: define, declare, and defend. First, define your task with absolute clarity. Don't just say, "I'm going to work on the presentation." That's too vague. Instead, define it with precision. For the next 45 minutes, I will write the script for slides 5 through 8 of the Q3 presentation. A clearly defined task has a beginning and an end, which prevents your mind from wandering. Second, declare your intention. This might sound silly, but it's powerful. You can say it out loud, write it on a sticky note, or just state it firmly in your mind. For this block of time, this one task is my entire world. Nothing else exists. This declaration acts as a contract with yourself, a formal commitment to focus. It primes your brain for what's about to happen. Third, and most importantly, defend your focus relentlessly. This is the active part. Before you begin, put your phone in another room. Close all irrelevant tabs on your computer. If you have to, put on noise-canceling headphones. Let your family or colleagues know that you are unavailable for the duration you've set. You are building a fortress around your attention. Every notification, every quick question, every urge to check social media is an invader trying to breach your walls. Your job is to stand guard. By following this simple define, declare, defend sequence, you are creating the ideal conditions for deep work before you even begin. You are no longer a passive victim of distraction. You are the active architect of your focus. Let's ground this in real-life examples that resonate with everyone. Think about studying for a test. The multitasking approach is to have your textbook open next to your laptop, where you're researching on Wikipedia, which inevitably leads to YouTube, all while your phone buzzes with messages from a study group. You spend 3 hours studying but retain almost nothing. Now, apply the single tasking rule. You define the task. For the next 50 minutes, I will read chapter 4 and take handwritten notes. You declare your intention. This chapter is my only reality right now, and you defend your focus. Phone off and in a drawer. All browser tabs closed. Just you, the book, and a pen. In those 50 minutes of pure, uninterrupted focus, you will learn and retain more than you did in the previous 3 hours of scattered effort. Or consider cleaning your room. The distracted way is to pick up a shirt, then notice a dusty shelf, then start sorting through a pile of mail, and an hour later, the room is somehow even messier. The single tasking way is to define your task. I will spend 15 minutes putting away all the clothes on the floor. You do that one thing until it's done. Then you set a new task. The progress is visible, and the process is satisfying instead of overwhelming. It even applies to our relationships. Trying to have a genuine conversation while scrolling through your phone is the ultimate form of multitasking, and it sends a clear message: you are only getting a fraction of my attention. A single tasking approach means putting the phone away, making eye contact, and truly listening. The quality of that 5-minute focused conversation will be infinitely more meaningful than a 30-minute distracted one. These examples show that single tasking isn't a mystical state reserved for monks. It's a practical skill for a better life. Stop feeling busy and start being productive. The two are not the same. Busyness is a measure of motion. Productivity is a measure of accomplishment. Busyness is fractured attention. Productivity is focused intention. The world will always try to convince you that your value is tied to how many things you can juggle at once. It will sell you the illusion that a chaotic calendar and a constant state of alert are badges of honor, but this is a trap that leads to burnout, anxiety, and shallow work. The path to doing meaningful, exceptional work, the kind you are truly proud of, is through subtraction, not addition. It's about having the courage to say no to the 100 shallow distractions so you can say yes to the one deep task that matters. Choose your focus, define it, defend it, immerse yourself in it. This is more than a productivity technique. It's a philosophy for a more peaceful and fulfilling existence. Deep work is the secret to inner peace.